Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Bible Podcast. I am your co host, Robert Green. Here with me is my buddy, Richie Dornis. How are you today?
It's basketball season, boys.
Yes, it
As
is.
I'm wearing a baseball hat,
What
I get
an incredible, beautiful summer was
uneven
eventful,
for the
long,
podcasters of us, but we're
especially
getting rolling.
from where, the Celtics started. We're not going to start out with the NBA. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball because last we talked was the
Before
end of
playoff,
September. A lot of things have happened,
before the Mets
including
choked on a Tootsie Roll.
that, including Aaron Judge making history, including the Celtics losing their coach, who all I did was praise on this pod.
You praise his
But yeah,
coaching, not his he's got some questionable decision making.
unreal. I'm still shocked by that. Some other different things happen with my team, but I'm not going to yap, of course, as long as I usually do. This is a holiday for me, Christmas morning. All I have is the most wonderful time of the year stuck in my head. I can't believe it's finally here. I knew it was going to fly by, but I really can't believe it's tonight. So it won't be a half hour rant from Rob today. It'll just be catching up. And me and Rich are excited to be back. And of course, I am the happiest man alive. Basketball is back. We got my team in Philadelphia tonight, um, tipping off the season, our new jerseys. Then we have Golden State hosting the Los Angeles Lakers for ring night. Also, speaking of Golden State, um, we saw Jordan Poole get mauled publicly since we last spoke as well.
We'll get into that
we,
too. I
we
got some
will
thoughts on that.
talk about that. Um, But yeah, tonight it's just these first two, and then the whole slate opens up tomorrow with the Knicks, Grizzlies, and Suns and Mavericks doubleheader. But let's get into baseball. The New York Mets, 170 plus days in first place. I'm sorry, Rich. Not the final week and a half or 2 weeks we expected, especially from the offense, especially really, the wild card series has, for those not watching us on YouTube, is tightening up his sweatshirt with his beautiful MLB hat. But it was a tough time. And now you have the worry of Jacob deGrom. And you have to hear the outsiders talk a bunch of nonsense about Scherzer. But, we're in New York. No blame. And it does, I don't know if you agree or not, but I'm sure, it is accurate for people to be saying, should we have paid a 37-year-old this much money for this many years?
Well, welcome to the show, guys. It's been a couple weeks, and before we get into what my thoughts on that, which is I've heard that that's not the first I've heard of that, but make sure you subscribe to us on Sports Bible Pod everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Uh,
Yes, sir.
Get the fourth one. What's the Twitter? There we go. I always forget it. Instagram, you know where to find us. Thank you guys for this ride. It is officially this is our first opening night, so by the time this comes out, it's going to be around game time. So this is more for the Wednesday slate. But I also have some big news at the end of this podcast. So if you just want to hear my big news, go to the end of this podcast and I will tell you. But if you want to hear us ramble about Jordan Poole getting slapped, then keep listening. But to
we
start
we're
with
almost a year in too, if you've noticed.
December, I believe, I was in
Yeah.
that corner without I still need to get all this fixed so you guys don't have to see my paint and a party table and a leaf, not like the leaf you put in the tables, and a fan. We have one fan at least. Damn, that was bad. That was a bad joke.
I remember sitting in my room when we were on Anchor, screaming at my mobile device,
Bro,
just getting into it about the Suns, getting into about Kemba Walker being benched in New York,
I
and that's
remember, I remember having this mic, and then because we weren't on camera yet, I had a mic and I had your voice on Anchor and cutting it. I had to cut out half of my audio because I would get the audio from Anchor and from my mic. Now we are still sponsored by Anchor, as you guys hear before we hosted this podcast, but now we're getting a little more involved, trying to get more consistent to get the viewership that we know and love and want to engage with you guys. We talk about that all the time. But to get started with the Mets, you make the point with Max Scherzer. I don't believe these last couple starts define who he is. I don't believe he's playing hurt like some people think because of his oblique. Like, maybe he was nagging him, but at this point, everyone's got injuries. The one thing I will say though is, looking back, it feels like that Brave series took everything out of the Mets. Like the one they got swept in, it just felt like it kind of sucked the life out of them.
Mm.
I will say this though, Scherzer and DeGrom did not pitch well in the Brave series, but he pitched fine in the Padres series. He 6 innings,
Really
2 runs,
good.
8 strikeouts. He was
Yeah.
fine. Garrett Cole was getting praised for that the other day, which he should, because Garrett Cole, I don't like the word hate. I hate the Yankees. That's very
He
well
might be,
documented. I'm a Mets fan. I'm supposed to hate the Yankees.
he'll be coming out of the bullpen later too, for sure.
We'll see about that. He threw 110 pitches.
Like, yeah,
His
I
arm's
did
probably
see.
hanging, but
I'm sure you saw the report that
yeah,
like they're open to it, but now that with
yeah,
the extra day rest, that'll help.
maybe. I mean, they got guys. They use their closer in emergency situations in the playoffs, but that's not my team. Whatever. Um, my take on it though is with the Mets and Scherzer is it's a bad start. It just happened at the worst time. Like they did not come up clutch. That's the period, point blank in the story. But how come when Max Fried and Spencer Strider on the Braves over there get absolutely shelled by the Phillies, who we owned this year, who I actually rooted for against the Braves, so that worked. But how come it's the format with them and the Dodgers? Why is it the format's fault now? No, beat the team. You're 14 games better than like we should have beaten the Padres. Like
Yeah.
we were favored. That was like I'm not gonna start making excuses for the Mets. They didn't play well. They didn't hit. They didn't the whole ear thing with Musgrove, whatever you want to make out of that.
Yeah, and it did look shiny.
It
No,
did. I'm like, yo, there's something on that dude's ear. But
yeah,
you know
like
what?
no Tatis either. And like I don't mean to sound like, Don LaGreca, Evan, and the rest of WFAN, but it's like, you got the experience. Of course, it was a hell of a fun year for you and the rest of the
It was
fans.
disappointing ending.
Yeah, and like this was fun, especially with how recent years have gone since 2015. But it's like,
24 win difference.
how about that?
I
And
would I will say though, it is a disappointment. It is a failure because you didn't win. But
yeah,
that's
that's
how
what
it
I
should
was
be.
gonna say.
That's the
Like I don't.
standard now. Win the World Series or bust.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound like, the rest of the media, but it's like
Nah,
this did seem like in conclusion, a big waste of time. But besides, they did get plenty of experience, and it's just obviously the definition of a flat out huge disappointment, first and foremost.
and also I don't like when Mets fans say like this is the most miserable I've been ever as a Mets fan. Like this is the worst. Like no, like '07, you choked and didn't make the playoffs. '07 in 2022 we choked and made a wild card round, which 101 wins in a wild card round is just honestly kind of bad luck. But at the same time, like it's not like we fought with the Braves. Like we had opportunities to put it away and we didn't. Yes, I say we. I don't say they. Um,
We've talked about
yeah,
this before.
but
That's valid for fans
the
like me.
Mets. Everyone loves contact and not striking out, which is great and all. But in 2022, you need power. You need
You do.
homers. I mean, Lindor hit 25. Alonso hit 40. I know they're trying to prove a point now on LB Network that they lost the trade to Cleveland, but I'm not even getting into that.
And like
Um,
everyone's hating on Vogelback a little bit now too.
but they don't understand. Like this is what I don't get. Canna's not enough for you. Brandon Nimmo is not enough for you. Vogelback's the opposite player. He's not enough. What do you want? Not everyone's going to be Aaron Judge hitting 62 freaking homers, and not everyone's Pete Alonso. There's a reason why teams are built certain ways. The fact of the matter is, it came down to the three starters, and two of the three did not pitch well in the playoffs. If if Bassett or Scherzer pitches well, we might still be talking about the Mets playing. Because
Yeah.
you throw your cards in the deck with the Dodgers, they choke too. Dodgers look worse than the Mets, to be honest.
And Chris Bassett, who did nothing but really impress
He
the
was
fans.
phenomenal all year, and he just
Yeah, and it's disappointing. It really is.
and who knows if he's coming back. I will talk about that on my big news later. Uh, but like it is what it is. Like it's over with. Is it you can think it's disappointing and not think this team sucks. Like they don't suck. You win 101 games, you're gonna have two probably top 7 or 8, I would say, MVP candidates.
Hell of a manager, hell of an owner.
He's probably gonna win Manager of the Year for the National League. I mean, I think
Should.
American League's got to be Tito. It's got to be Francona. It
Yeah.
was. I thought it would be the guy from the Orioles, but one
Good.
won the division, one didn't make the playoffs, and at some point, the Orioles, while it's a success, Cleveland was supposed to have like 70 wins, and they won 90 something games and won a playoff series and possibly two, depending on tonight. Or right now, actually, 7 minutes they start. So I'm
Shout
saying
out,
that they might win this game before you even read it, or they might lose.
shout
We'll
out
see.
to Cleveland, your
Um,
city, your your soft spot for Donovan Mitchell, your dog
did you see
pound.
Donovan Mitchell went to the Cleveland Rays game and then he went to the Mets Padres game that night
Dude,
with the
he's
Cavs?
we know we know he's you know how many times on this pod did I say he bleeds orange and blue and he embraces it and
Oh, he
loves.
loves the Mets. Like, I'm cool. I'm over him not coming to the Knicks because after the price that it went for, it is what it is. It's just weird that everything seems to synonymize. That's not a word. Everything seems to coexist with me with the Mets in New York and then Cleveland. Like
And
Donovan Mitchell wanted to be a Knick, but he ends up in Cleveland. My favorite football team is the Browns, so I get all that. I get and it's all like a big mixture. It's weird.
it's
Lindor got traded from Cleveland to the Mets. Like it's mad weird how it all goes hand in hand.
it's like me when I'm actively rooting in hockey and the postseason and the NFL, and it's Washington's out of it. The Devils aren't good. I'm rooting for
You're
the
a
Bruins.
commander.
I'm rooting for the Pats.
Taylor Heineke. Don't feel bad. The Browns defense looks bad.
Listen, pal. it's I have one thing to say, and the entire audience know what I'm about to say. Even for probably almost a week now, like the NFL has completely left my system in general. Like, I've been waiting. We know what today is. We know what today is, baby, and we're back. We got
You're
one
back.
goal on,
If you guys couldn't tell,
but
Rob's a Celtics fan. That's a nice hoodie, by the way. Do they
thank you,
have
bro.
that in Knicks?
Yeah, if you probably go to Fanatics or the Nike site, I bet they do. But yeah,
I like white hoodies. I don't know why.
well, I'm not one for them because I'm a big slob, but and I did have an accident with this one already, but I cleaned it,
Just put just
thankfully.
put put a napkin on like you're 85 years old.
But yeah, now, I mean, hopefully DeGrom stays, and now Yankees fans they're on the edge of their seat for the past 24 hours, and from now to
I don't
December.
know what's gonna go on with Judge. With DeGrom, what I'll say, I'll be disappointed if he leaves, especially if he goes to the Braves. But he's not gonna leave and it be the Mets' fault. Like, and the money's not gonna be it for him. If he leaves, it's gonna be because doesn't want to be here anymore. And you know what? Like, I can't get mad if the guy like the guy's given us nine of the greatest the one of the greatest pitchers. He's probably second in my opinion in the Mets history to Seaver. But
Yeah,
I think if it's true that he doesn't want to live in New York, which he's been adamant though that he wants to opt out and stay in contact with Steve Cohen and the Mets, and he has. Billy Epler spoke about it the other day. Then he's probably gonna stay. Free agency is a weird world, though. We saw what happened with Freddie Freeman last year. That's why I'm telling Yankees fans, be careful when you say he's a lock to come back because money talks. It's different for DeGrom. DeGrom's gotten a contract already.
yeah,
DeGrom already got a second contract. So he's just looking to cash out right now, and no one can pay him more than the Mets.
And I'm gonna, you know, this is like the best day ever in sports and the best time of
He
year
ain't
in
going to the
sports.
Red Sox.
No. I was just gonna say, well, first of all, did you see, I wasn't gonna say this, but did you see when they last played in Fenway and they were like the reporters were like, how would you like to, play? Maybe I did bring this up one of our last episodes. I doubt it though. They were like, how would you like to play here at next year? And he was just like, oh, like he laughed. He's like, we'll talk about it at the end of the year. And
Who,
then
DeGrom said
SNY
that?
Judge, SNY tweeted
Oh, I saw
like
that. He was like, "Yeah, they got great fans."
SNY was eating it up. SNY was
Oh,
like, yes, he's
he ain't
leaving the
he
Yankees.
he's not going to the Red Sox.
No,
If he went to the Red Sox, that would be the most historic change I think ever. Because when Babe Ruth played, not many people like there was no Twitter in 1907 or when did he play the 20s? I'm bad at baseball when it
that's how
comes to that.
sports journalism started. That's what I learned when you
Yeah.
see.
Um,
Right?
but when it comes to that, yeah, I don't DeGrom like it's up in the air. That like there's a lot of the Mets have a lot of free agents, but let's not forget we have the richest owner in baseball by a long shot. So things could happen. If we lose DeGrom and trade for Shohei Ohtani, sorry, Jake.
And not for like speaking on him. Well, when I was gonna say it, like I was more so describing Judge, but this is why I said I don't mean to factor in that much a human relation when it's like the best time of year in sports,
Yeah, it's the
unbiased.
best time of year, the best time for for sports.
Yeah, and like this is Christmas to me, but yeah, I'll unbiasedly say it. But it's like another thing for Yankee fans that they should factor in. And, the other side of it, the pros is like, of course, he knows it's the greatest organization ever. He knows how the fans are. He knows how the press is. But
Yeah,
it's like
and he's done well handling it.
I just want to factor in, he hears the noise. He heard the fans in June and July that were like, ship him for Soto, or like, we'd rather have Soto than a 30-year-old.
Yeah, and they're booing him now.
Yes, I didn't even say that. I forgot about that.
Like
Guys,
Mets fans booed Lindor last year because of the contract. They booed Conforto last year in his contract year. They booed Beltran, Piazza. They didn't boo Jacob DeGrom. You know why? Because they're afraid to lose him.
yeah, and like not for nothing, they didn't boo Lindor and all those guys 2 days or X amount of days after they were just all over
No,
him.
no, it took like this year in May, Lindor was hitting like 220. Like he still didn't get going yet, and he was getting booed. May
Yeah,
is what 40 games. Aaron Judge has hit 62 home runs, which is the American League record. You want to call it the real record? I'm not getting into that with you.
yeah.
Not you specifically. I'm talking about everyone.
No, I agree with you.
But regardless, it's 62 historic. He's gonna win MVP.
Yeah,
He has played 2 games. What is that? Four games. He hit a home run last game, but I know he's like 1 for 12 or whatever, like 7 strikeouts. You're gonna boo him? Are you trying to get this guy out of town?
and not for nothing, dude. This is the new Jeter of their fan base. This is the
Yeah.
new of their
Like
generation.
I
Like,
think Alonso's the new David Wright. Like if I'm the Mets, I'm
I mean,
signing Alonso this offseason, like to a 10-year deal.
yeah,
Like I would do that.
and like with Judge, it's like class act.
Yeah,
Um,
he's everything. He's everything.
and like he doesn't, he never has anything negative, anything. But like, yeah, what I just said, a couple minutes ago, it's amazing. Like you guys are cheering for him, going nuts, like during this whole, historic tour. But then he strikes out one postseason game, and it's let's
Yeah,
rain the.
he has like 6 strikeouts. Like it's a rough stretch, definitely, but should not be getting booed, especially in the playoffs.
What do you think about Bob Costas doing the games? How do you think he's doing?
I feel like announcers sometimes fans get too emotional about. Like he's calling the game. I think the memes are funny though when it's like Bob Costas is like there's a UFO in the sky and Aaron Judge hits it and then it's like Ron Darling. That's a fastball in the corner. Like I think that's funny, but when I'm watching the game, I'm tune into the game. Like I'm not worried about what the announcers are saying. Like especially in the playoffs, like the crowd's into it. Like that. I think it's a little overrated. I mean, I think a good broadcasting crew can make a bad game look good, but in the playoffs, like it's you want your best crews there, obviously, but at the same time, like it's the play on the field that's going to do it for you.
Yeah,
Like
I
when
mean,
Josh
like,
hits a home run, if you remember the call,
yeah, he
you know,
got
like that.
criticism for it
But I
from.
think broadcasting is great. Like I think GKR, Gary Keith and Ron for SNY are great. Don Rosillo is great. I like the Miami guys, to be honest. Cleveland's got great guys. There you go, Cleveland. I should basically live in Ohio at this point. Um, but I think people just try to scrutinize them for no reason. Bob Costas is a legend. When I hear his name, I think baseball documentary.
I
When
think,
I hear him talk, he's got that documentary voice.
yeah, he does, and I think of Jordan's bowls a lot too. But to your point, I mean, like you know me, I'm a freak in this field, so
Yeah,
when I'm, the Celtics' first two games in June in Golden State, I'd rather Mike Breen had COVID. I'd rather be Mike Breen than Mark Jones. And like tonight, I'm praying Kevin Harlan does the game. You know how he's my favorite, him and Reggie.
you don't know it. It should probably say it.
I bet it does, but I haven't looked.
The one thing I will say though, I don't like if you want to be boring. Like I think Michael K is a little boring, but I actually thought he was very good when he was doing a non-biased game, like when he was doing Phillies Cardinals. I thought he was
No,
very good.
I'm just tired. Like, did I ever tell you the story, Adam? Like it was when I was a
No,
diehard fan, not a long story, was at the Cheesecake Factory. I think I told you how I'd go to Camden Yards more than the Bronx because how much cheaper it was. I was in like sixth grade.
yeah,
Me and my close family
you
friend.
take a train. You can take a train there, right?
It's like a 2 hour, 3 hour drive too. It's really not
Yeah,
bad.
I enjoyed Baltimore when I was there. You stay in the Inner
Yeah,
Harbor. It's
yeah, I
nice.
remember you talking to me about it. It's beautiful and great food and stuff too.
Yeah,
And the sports fanship is amazing. And so we walk in the Cheesecake Factory. We stayed right by, yeah, Camden Yards. And I just say to my friend John, and I'm like a little kid, Posada shirt on. I was just like, dude, that's Michael K. And
my
he
dad
was
met him
just,
too.
he was like, I was kind of just like this, just like getting his attention, uh, to my friend John. And then I went up to him and I asked him to sign my back. It was like some mediocre pink pen. He signed my Posada shirt. And I
Hmm.
was actually real. This is the one moment, I guess this was the light bulb for me, where like I wasn't like I felt like I was having a one-on-one like conversation where we like connect, like me and his field connected. Like I was
Yeah,
ready to just, if this makes sense, I was ready to
oh, I
just
get it.
speak. And I was just like, I was like, yeah, like it was, dude, rain delay. CC pitched a gem. It was like 15-3, A-Rod grand slam. Obviously more Yankee fans there, just like everywhere else, and annually there. Um, but I was like, I hope it doesn't get rained out tonight. And he was like, yeah, I know. And he was a real good guy, and he's noticed my tweets before too.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's active on social media and that kind of stuff.
yeah, like he'll
Um,
say, said my name, and he's a great guy. But to your point, like I am tired of him, especially. I love his show, but I'm tired of the announcing. And him and Kurt Schilling had something to say about his call for it. And Kurt is Joe Red Sox, but um, yeah, I mean, I just love Kevin Harlan. I love Mike Breen, Van Gundy, Jackson, Richard Jefferson.
with all due respect.
You see that Twitter account?
Yeah, it's I kind of agree. I'm like, what the?
Do you
But
did you have you seen the real quick? Have you seen the Hubie Brown one? You know who that is?
I've
The
heard his name, but like I probably couldn't face the name.
He's like the 80-year-old dude that always has he's a Hall of Famer, played before. He always does it with Ryan Ruocco, pretty much. And
I like Ryan Rocco, the guy in
me
Yes.
too. He's replied to my tweets too. He's like, thanks, my dude. Like I've tweeted to him on NBA Christmas Day. But Hubie Brown, like, he'll just be like, now here's a guy, like kind of like the Collinsworth, but like in soother terms. He'll just be like,
Yeah.
all right, like he'll be like, Duncan Robinson will catch fire. Like he'll describe weird that I thought of him first, but he'll describe his form and like the way he plays. And there's a Twitter account for him, so that's what made me thought of Hubie Brown. And he was describing I forget, so I might have been Blake for Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's baseball talk. It's postseason. The Yankees are starting now, so as Rob goes into his Celtics spiel, I will update you on the game. I'm not gonna give a full play-by-play, but I'll do my best Michael K impression. But just to end my point on,
See ya.
oh God, just to end my point on broadcasting though, I think they can make a game better. But I don't necessarily think they can make a game worse. I just don't like when they're biased. Like ESPN is criminally biased towards the Mets, and especially when they play the Braves. It's like Michael Harris. This was Fox actually, but Michael Harris caught a ball. He misjudged it, center fielder for the Braves. He went back first, came in, like did a little slide. You would have thought he just laid out and caught it with his foot. I'm like, oh, like, dude, he misjudged the ball. Like that ball's got to be caught. But regardless, I like unbiased, unless it's the Mets, of course. I'm gonna like the bias against the Mets. But I like unbiased. I like exciting. If you're a local, oh, there you go, Stephen Kwan singles first play of the game. Um, if you're a local announcer, root for your team. Like if you're Gary Cohen for the Mets or Don Arcello for the Padres or Eck, I know Eck just retired, but Eck for the Red Sox, root for your team. It's exciting. If they're watching that broadcast, there's a good chance they're a Red Sox fan or a Mets fan or a Marlins fan or a Padres fan. So root for the team. It makes it more exciting. It makes it feel more at home.
Boy, do I wish that you heard Tommy Heinsohn before he passed away.
Uh,
For the Celt, I think I've told you about him a little bit. Remember, I think I told you about him on here. Remember, I said the dude who said about Baines in the shower.
sure. I think so.
He was like being weird during a preseason game, the very first preseason game with Kyrie. He was like, "I saw Baines in the shower," and he like told the story.
Yeah. You want to get into some basketball talk now? What do you want to lead off with?
I guess I'll talk the C's real quick. So,
Alrighty.
smile. So, last we talked, Robert Williams was ruled out after that procedure for his knee, which, we had to expect at some point. It was a blessing for him during the finals run, come back in a matter of a couple weeks, only missed two playoff games when, like we thought, like we said on the pod last year, um, that he's coming back in the conference finals. Um, so something obviously they lost their coach, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
Unreal situation. More things are going to come out by the day, and the more they do, it's kind of weird. Because it's just like little and little information. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be more and more the more it's reported between Shams, Woj, Chris Haynes. Um, and as we did see reports and fans like us as well, uh, teams, if he's able to coach after the season, which as of right now, the last word we heard about him is it was just comments towards the female staffer that made it weird. And it was his comments. So the Celtics will put out themselves throughout the season, like I said, more information, and that'll determine whether teams can have meetings with him, next offseason, because there's going to be a bunch lined up, obviously, as we know,
I just
if he can coach it.
can I fit one thing in?
Yep.
Do you think he will ever coach the Celtics again?
No.
Okay.
And if at the time I probably would have told you yes, like there is a chance, but the people think he's like it's over. The more and more the days go on,
Yeah.
and Stephen A. actually just said today on First Take that he thought that Boston was afraid that he would have went back to Brooklyn, so that's why they suspended him instead of fired him. But
No, something that serious of a manner. I mean, even if it's not technically illegal, it's still in the workplace.
yes, and obviously, like people were like, "WTF?" This happens and it doesn't come out. and people were like, why? Like, why was this public? Why was this a thing? And of course, fans like myself within the organization were like, it's always something. We talked about the Gallinari real quick. We talked about the
Yeah.
Gallinari thing. When me and you worked that day, I talked about it last on the pod. Um, but go on.
The one thing I will say, they complained that it came out, what he did. If they just said Ime Udoka suspended, that's it. They just said that. What would the reaction be? Why didn't you tell me more?
Yeah. And
You know,
like,
like the whole thing with the Knicks, and it was disgusting or whatever they said that they didn't allow like media for Jalen Brunson to sit down. When you allow them and they say the wrong thing, you attack them. So you know what? I don't blame the Knicks for what they did. I don't.
yeah. And
There's going to be more press conferences in the future. There will be. You don't got to talk to them fresh off for a contract. You don't.
and
As much
he's
as I want to be in the media, there are times and places.
yeah, we know. We learned.
Like I get the whole want to get a line for the fresh off emotion thing, but at the same time, you'll get more educated answers if you wait. You'll get less. You'll get honestly a better shot of getting a real answer because they have a better shot of processing it all than you get something overblown or even something super politically correct because they don't want to say the wrong thing. And then you get either everything or nothing rather than a steady, educated answer, which is what at this point with Twitter and everything. That's what fans want. Fans don't care about like the headline because they know that Twitter's just gonna snap it away anyway.
Yeah, and it just everything's taken out of context. Like
Yeah.
look at NBA Central, for example. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Like it's
things are said, but you're completely taking something out of a huge.
yeah, and like and I don't fault any of these companies for doing that. It's clickbait. That's how they get people to get their views and read their stories. But you can do that without tearing someone down.
Yeah, I mean, two different things though, like
Yeah.
Brunson and Ime, to your point. But no, I see what you're saying, and I was just saying how like
Oh no, I was just making a comparison with how the media want, how people in the media want
they want the
one
negative.
thing until they don't get it. Or
Yeah,
they don't want one thing until they don't get it, and now they want
anything they hear, it's like that's it.
it.
Yep, of
Yeah.
course. And me and you have, seen the pros and cons, and we know what to do and not, and we have a big educated cap in this now, and we're only growing and getting better by the day. But so yeah, really a rough last month leading into training camp for Boston. The Danilo thing, um, the Ime thing, and at the time,
And Rob will.
yes, at the time when that happened, I don't want to say devastated about Ime, but like very, annoyed, just thinking like,
Shocked.
yeah, it's just like the Danilo thing. Rob was just labeled out 4 to 6. That happens, and it's like, all right, dude, why do we need this happening to us? These circumstances, which I'm used to these bad luck situations, like I've told you in the past, and I know other Celtic fans are too. Why is this happening? And then
Yeah.
a couple of days later, oh, Rob's out 8 to 12. They want to hold him out longer, probably January. And when we did our predictions, he was my defensive player of the year. He's not anymore. But um, there is a bright side. Preseason began, training camp began, end of September. They brought in the interim head coach, or they made him interim head coach, Joe Mazzulla. Mazzulla had something bad happen to him also in college, but he has some experience. Fairmont State, D2 school, coaching there. Played at one of the Virginias, I forget where. Um, but what Boston loves about him so much, and why like they moved on in the blink of an eye. My thing when this happened was like, oh great, media days Monday, and
Yeah.
this really has to be the narrative entering it, and it really was. Like that was a big question to all our players, but Joe Mazzulla has been there since 2019. when Kyrie Irving was on the team, when Jason, Jalen, Marcus were babies with Al Horford. And he's also coached the summer league team, so he has close ties with Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Grant Williams, all them. So they all love him. They all, you know, they all have faith. And of course, when Boston had their emotional press when this happened, or presser, everyone's like, "Brad, are you coming back? Are you coming back?" And he's like, "No."
That would be a what's that term? An impulse decision?
It's just like it's a year in. It's there's just no point, and like he said it himself. He's like, Joe is the best decision for this by far.
Right
So Brad
now.
knows, yeah, Brad knows what we don't, and he looks like he's only 34. He's a young guy. He's saying all the right things. He looks like he knows exactly what he's doing in the scheme of things with the core players and how
Yeah.
close he is with them and the rest of the roster. The kids, like I said, from summer league, just coached the summer league team this past summer. But yeah, so they moved on fast, and things are looking good. And the Missoula era begins tonight. Like I said, Rob, hopefully he's back. Shams reported this morning that it could be closer to the second half of the year, but they're hoping Christmas time, January. Danilo, he's just taking it day by day. He wants to come back in the playoffs, of course.
Yeah, I wouldn't bank on him though.
Yeah,
Because
and
even
one
if he comes back, is he gonna have an impact?
no, just stints
Yeah.
for sure.
He's not like his role in the team, I don't want to say easily replaceable, but it's like you can probably figure out what to do with your
Is
roster before then.
and not for nothing, I'm going to say this real quick before I counter that point. Who was it, Rich, that you said going through power forwards and centers? Who should Boston sign when we last did the pod?
I
When
said
Rob was
Melo.
out, when Rob was out 4-6.
I
So
said Melo,
it
but
all
Blake Griffin.
this ties together. This ties together because I said to you, I was like, all right, we're kind of the outsiders are overvaluing. And I talked about one of the Celtic writers who I'm friends with that mentioned it. They're overvaluing Gallinari's
Presence.
presence and what he brings. Opening night, baby. Let's go. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Anyways, what he brings, they were, overvaluing it. And people, I said this to you, people, the Celtics big gas and, who's had a lot of spotlight this summer for summer league play and like how high they were on him internally at practice and stuff, is that kid Sam Hauser going into his second year. That kind of looks like Hayward. Um, I said to you, I was like, he could play Gallinari's role, just a standstill shooter, shoots the lights out, especially if he plays with the starting five of Bay, he'll get a lot of open threes. So he can play into Gallo's role as the 10th man. And out of those forwards, front court guys and centers that we named, I'll tell you, I've been, since we signed him, I've been trying, I didn't go back and look. I've been trying to remember like what I said when you brought up Blake. I think I was like, I'd take him. But you said, what about Melo? I said Sam Hauser. Like I just said, he really is gelling into what I said
I
about him.
think what I said about Blake Griffin was that his game was very different than Gallo's, while Melo's was closer to Gallo. But I think Blake he's improved vastly defensively, or at least like he looks like he tried like he looked like he gave a damn in Brooklyn when no one else did. Um
Yeah, the one game. Like
yeah,
it's
like but I just think with him like it's a good pickup. There was no reason for him to be a free agent. There's no reason for Melo to be a free agent. Knicks. Um
flash, yeah.
yeah. Uh but did you hear what I said?
Oh, I thought you said thanks.
No, I said Knicks. I said Knicks.
Oh yeah,
Um
yeah. I mean now it's the end. Yeah, I said it to you. I was like, they have no interest in Melo. They're looking forward to Hauser's growth.
yeah.
So you could have Sam blend into those 10 minutes, and that forward that we're mentioning, they signed Blake. And it took
Yeah.
some time after we did that last pod, but I was scrolling on Twitter early in the morning, and then I just see a Woj tweet, and I just jumped when I saw Boston Celtics agreed with forward Blake Griffin. And why he's a better fit than Melo and why I like it better than Melo, of course, along with anyone else with the Celtics, is or anyone else's opinion with the Celtics, I'm sure they agree with mine, is he's a lot more versatile and can play the five. He's not the greatest of defenders, but he's
Yeah.
capable of, that activity down on the low block. He could block here and there. He could rebound. In his one game he played with us, the last preseason game, 7 and 9 in shortened minutes. He hit a three. He looked very hesitant, or two, the first preseason game he played with us
He
too.
also just signed too. He's still getting used to everyone.
Yeah, and it's just the thing about him that I love so much is again the versatility, how he could fit in, and that's something Carmelo didn't have. I was preaching to you how you definitely could not play him with Gallo if Gallo didn't get hurt. But dude, he is fitting in like everything he's saying is just so beautiful. Like he's just like, the maturity of this group. Everyone's ready, everyone's locked in. You never have to question that. That's something I've never dealt with in my past groups. Like everyone is just set on the goal and locked in. And then, dude, at the Met Gala, having fun with the guys, him and Noah Vonleh messing with each other. He's going to Jack Harlow concerts with Grant Williams, Peyton Pritchard, the three of them best friends. Malcolm and Jason went with them, and they're going to Oklahoma football games. Like Peyton and Blake were good friends in high school, and I'm seeing tweets that are like before preseason games, like he's making friends with Grant Williams, like messing with him in the locker room, like he's been there forever. Like it's real. And what have I said to you a million times that I love for us to add OG vets who have been there, who could be a voice.
Yeah.
And now you got Blake Griffin, Al Horford, Malcolm Brogdon, and Danilo when he's back. That is beautiful. So yeah, preseason, really, it's just they really look beautiful, man. They really did, especially the first game against Toronto. Um, First thing I'm noticing is how much more simple Brogdon makes the offense look. From if he doesn't have an open three, and like I told you, him and Danilo shoot high, close to 40 from outside. If he doesn't have the open three, he's always attacking the paint, always trying to swing and push the ball, make a play, nice passes, or he's just attacking the basket. And he looked very quick. And he's really just looking like the piece that they missed in June against the Warriors. Two-way point guard who I've said to you a million times can do it all on either end. Score multiple different ways. But the standout thing to me has been him. Jalen has been, per usual, looks like he's ready to take another leap. Always starting out the year well, amazing. We saw his 46 in MSG last year. I always bring it up to you. He was like 22, shooting like 60+%. His percentage is really through the roof in the preseason, and he only missed like 20 shots. He didn't miss much. Derek White, I've been telling you how he's going to be more comfortable this year. I wrote a big story on it, and it really came into fruition with his preseason performances. He started most games with Rob out the whole first half. I expect them to start him at the two and Malcolm come in. Him and Grant really lead the second unit. That's what I'm expecting. And like I said, 10th man, you have Sam and Blake, even Luke Cornett a little bit split it up in the front court. Grant Williams, they must have said to him after the finals, you got to work on more things than just your 3-point shooting because he disappeared. Looks like he's got a game off the bounce now, showing his improvement. He's a restricted free agent end of the year. Hopefully we bring him back. But yeah, I mean, it's Sam Hauser again. He's just playing into exactly what me and the rest of the Celtics fans thought he would be, just a standstill shooter. And his praise has been through the roof, dude. Like it's not even just like Derek White and Tatum were like he's arguably the best shooter I've seen. And like he really doesn't miss much. He had like 2 games of like 4+ threes, multiple like 20+ points a couple times in the preseason. He's showing he's ready. And he's all this work in G League Maine and the summer. And it's one of the Celtics writers, Brian Robb from Mass Live, tweeted, at the end of this preseason, we might be wondering why Sam wasn't playing in the finals. But
I have an update. 3-0
really
Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton just hit a 3-run homer. Bottom first.
He was due. I was saying that the other night when he hit it. I was like, he was due.
Yeah, it's the first inning. So
Or the other day, actually. But yeah, that's really, my rant. My two favorite things is just the way Hauser looks good. Malcolm really just is a beautiful fit. And I'm just so excited for Blake. Like his just presence, and he doesn't even have to play much. And big week. Besides Philly tonight, we're at rematch at Miami Friday. But that's really it. I mean, dude, I was ranting about your Knicks. You want to talk about them first, and I'll tell you my opinion on them.
yeah, I don't take much into account for the preseason. I think just like I said just now, everyone's healthy. That's what matters. But um, besides that, I don't. The Knicks like Brunson had a couple good games, a couple bad games. Barrett was consistent. Randall wasn't turning the ball over. The bench kind of struggled, which is a little nervous for me, but it's preseason. It doesn't matter. Tomorrow night, Memphis we got, or tonight. They'll probably you guys are most likely listening to this. Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts on the Knicks though? I don't really have much. I think their roster is good. I think Grimes isn't going to play tomorrow, but we'll see.
Rob Perez on Twitter, and like he is like the biggest Nick fan ever.
Yeah,
And I've just been agreeing with everything he's saying. And whoever is close to me is going to listen to this and be like, "Oh, well, you got Brunson in your fantasy league now." I mean, dude, they what did they need that we've been saying since we've done
the
this?
point guard, just any type of point guard.
A playmaking point, and it's like he does a lot of things. Like he's the main ball handler. He's gonna get like 5 or 4 assists and rebounds plus. He's gonna put up, like we said, 20 plus points or close to it. So he's not like um he's not gonna be a superstar, but the all-star potential is there, and he's a great point guard for what you guys are trying to do in the future. And it's just if they can make shots around their big three, they could be a surprise. Like they could be above a play-in,
Like,
or
I think they
maybe
can be better than the Bulls.
yes, Charlotte, Bulls, Indiana.
I think
Um,
I changed my standings. I think Charlotte's gonna be the worst team in the East, but
I'll agree with you there. I'll take that
because
agreement.
Indiana's rebuilding, but they got Halliburton, they got this guy, what's his name?
Matherin.
There you go. I can never see his name. They got him. So like they got some guys that are playing inspired. Charlotte has so much going on. They got a new coach.
It's just
Um,
Terry. It's just like
well,
Bridges.
Lamelo,
Big,
but he's hurt now.
yeah. So Bridges is a big loss in the East. That got a lot better, and you're losing 20 points in a potential All Star. You got a new coach. You got no defense still. You got a Terry Rozier show, my guy. That's about it as of
And
right
he's
now.
inconsistent. So like, well, he can't be your number one.
Yeah, he's not a star, and
Like
that's
Gordon Hayward, it's health for him. Like
yeah, and
we'll
he's
see.
already hurt. And like I would take that agreement, but it's just if Evan can make shots, if Cam can take a step, if Obi can continue to make highlights, like if they could make shots around these guys, if Quentin can make
I
shots,
think Grimes is the X factor.
yeah, like if they can make shots around them, low playoff seed or above a play-in, I think their over/under win total is like 38 and a half.
I would
They
take
won
the over.
30. Yeah, they won 37 last year. Of course. Like you got Brunson is the main ball handler. He could score. Like he does a lot of things to make life easier. Barrett doesn't have to be out of his comfort zone and do too much. He could just grow steadily.
Yeah,
Julius, year for vengeance. If you could hit shots around them, they could really surprise. Like it's
yeah.
the balls are shaky. Washington, Orlando.
Just the
Uh,
Bulls. Like what scares you with the Bulls that they literally did nothing.
and we have talked about the Lonzo thing. Yeah. It's
And
you're just relying on those wings.
you know, everyone called what's his name? Because a couple of extensions have been signed since we've talked. Yeah, everyone talks about Brunson being overpaid.
Well, I was actually gonna we have talked about it in the past, and I was actually
Well, we don't.
gonna bring
I
that
don't
up.
think
Like,
he's overpaid, but I'm saying like people have spoke about that.
Yeah, and it's not like he got a max. Like what he got 25 plus. Like it's no brainer, and he's young. Like it's
Did you
you
see the DeAndre Hunter contract? Did
and
you
I've
see the
heard
Kevin Porter Jr. contract?
exact
Although a lot of that's not guaranteed for Kevin Porter. It's like a
yeah,
weird incentive based
smart.
deal.
It's smart because obviously of the issues he's had off the court in the past too. But
But what has he done on the court to warrant
I
like that?
mean, he's got a lot of promise. He will be good, but it's just he just has to be more relaxed and more focused on his job off the court is the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Like me and you used to talk about him when the issues were still going on last year. And yeah, I mean, Knick fans are smart enough to know you're not getting a superstar, too. You're getting a potential all-star that's
Yeah.
going to run the offense and make life so easy for their core. And Mitch looks good, too. So it's like
Yeah.
if they're shooters like Evan, you're the face of this. If you can make shots around them and bounce back, like he's just over. That's I was listening on Bill Simmons. They're like, you know, it's amazing how like you guys gave him 70 mil, but he wasn't worth a first. And like he also is a type of guy that's like if he's making like 6 mil and it's like, oh, you got Evan Fournier on the bench, like he shoot 40 from three. He's not like bad.
I think
It's just
Fournier's
like
gonna
he's the
start.
money. Yeah, he is. And it's smart. Like you need all the shooting around them possible. And
Yeah.
Brunson shoots a high percentage. He shoots 50 plus and he could score
He's aggressive too.
for a guy who's like 6'1", too, he can score on multiple levels. He understands too. Like everyone's so afraid that like, oh, the wrath of New York and Knick fans. He's from New Brunswick, and his dad will give him some peace in that, knowing he used to play there, knowing he's an assistant coach.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about the Draymond incident?
I
Wait, real
saw he's
quick.
doing something with like
Yeah,
an all access thing. My take on this is I understand like if you want to do your podcast like we do one, like if you want to do that stuff off the court, that's cool and all. And it might be tough love or whatever you at heart you love your teammates. You can't sucker punch your teammates. I'm sorry. Like you can't. Especially nowadays oh the camera shouldn't have gotten leaked. So it makes it okay. Like no, you can't sucker punch your teammate.
and yeah, no way you're wrong. I mean, they were saying, oh, it doesn't probably not a suspension, and then the next morning it just leaked everywhere, and like you know,
Yeah. But
it's it.
do you take anything into the account with the whole Draymond Laker thing?
Yes, and not just that. Like I take into account this whole thing. So
Okay.
here's the thing: they were like, oh, you know, we're not going to suspend him. The video comes out, and now everyone's like, wait, bringing a whole human relation into it,
Like if
social
it was like
media,
pushing, shoving, like
yeah,
talking match, that happens. But
and
you punch him square in the face.
and the dude, like, of course, everyone's like, wow, social media, everyone gets everything on camera, and
It shouldn't matter.
the TMZ guy was like, I'm gonna get a bag for this, and Draymond's gonna get in trouble, knowing the population of haters he has. But it's like that's the thing is, you know, you hear the athlete's point of view who have done interviews on it, like people on NBA Today, Richard Jefferson, all of them, former players. Kevin Love was saying it. This happens in practice,
Yeah.
and Kevin Durant, Kyrie talked about it. This happens. Now, was it completely a knockout and too far and gonna hurt the relationship between them two? Yes, but they know what it takes to be great in doing what the goal is that they want to accomplish, which we just saw last year. It's it's this was outrageous the way it looked and the way it was publicized. And it's just like people ate it up to a point where they were like, all right, he's definitely getting suspended. And the first thing I saw was like, how everyone knows how much I love Dre on and off the court. It's just like, All right. Um, Now this is gonna be bad one, or he's not gonna shy from the moment. Like he's gonna explain it, be real about it, like he always does. Like he will, you know, admit what he did wrong and
Yeah.
just beyond that, just describe it and just open up about it, pour his heart out. Um, but the what people need to factor in more, and you brought up the Laker thing. My whole point on it, they already didn't want like Jalen Rose said this, and I couldn't agree more. And he was like, "They're both my brothers," and it broke my heart. They already didn't want to extend Draymond as it
Yeah.
was, and we
How old is
saw
he now? He's gotta be like low 30s, right?
he's going to be 33 in March. I want to
Okay.
say,
So he's not done yet, but he's not by any means young.
and people were like, "Well, I'm sorry, what was I saying?" First and foremost, they didn't want to extend him as it was. And me and you saw what happened with Durant in 2019. And he got suspended a game for hurting Kevin's feelings and not suspended a game for this is like what people are mad about. But it's like the fact that you didn't want to extend him as it was. And, he's kind of overpaid now as it is, despite his defensive abilities, is like he's got the player option next year. And now this put a ticking timer on his tenure in Golden State, I'm thinking. And, they're going to miss him. And he's a big, important part, especially voice and leadership. But, people are like, oh, we've seen the way they develop people. They have JK, Jonathan Kaminga, Moses Mooney, what's his name? Wiseman looked great in the
Poole just
preseason.
got extended.
Yes, he's going to have a great year. And Wiggins. And
He got a contract too.
yes,
We're gonna talk about Jalen Brunson
well, we saw what he did in the finals. The executives around the league, they'll value two-way wings more than anyone, and we saw
because they're
that.
so rare.
We saw that with Jalen and Jason, like on the market, like we
Yeah.
talked about. And uh, to the DeAndre Hunter point before, I've talked to you about how like his ceiling with Atlanta is a huge part of what they're trying to do, and they've invested so much in him. Like we saw when he plays, like through that conference final run, he can be their, he should be their at full potential, the third best player.
He should be their Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, and the Draymond thing was just outrageous, though. I knew he would be real about it. You have the athlete side, like I said, that's like this happens, but it's just the dark side of social media, and people did not think it happened like that. That's for sure. I mean, ring nights tonight for them. They're going to be with each other's families. I bet there'll be a lot of paparazzi of them two hugging, them two talking, and like I said, they're capable. They know the job that needs to be done. So they all had a big meeting. Steve Kerr said Looney was a big part of it. They even said they got emotional in the meeting. JP and Dre talked. So they're cool now. They're not going to be as loving maybe as they once were, but like it's only going to grow over time. And this, like Steve Kerr said, he broke their trust, but they'll give him the benefit of the doubt because there's not many leaders like him in any sport, really. And it's just, all right, so they find him. I'm still a little surprised they didn't suspend him myself. And it was just nuts, man. No, I didn't expect it. And especially like a day later when they were like, oh, we doubt he's going to be suspended. Like
Yeah.
Bob Myers, the GM, was saying it. And then it was just everywhere, man. And everyone's like, oh, he's going to talk about it on his pod. But anyway, yeah, regarding the Laker thing, Stephen A said that. I could actually see it. If there's any tie, well, first of all, they're still going to have interest in Kyrie Irving, however the Nets thing goes this year in the contract year. So one of the two they're going to be aiming for, I bet, especially
Yeah.
with see how Russ does on this Vengeance tour. Um, but I saw a clip of him when the Lakers hired Darvin Ham in the summer, and he praised Darvin Ham and was like thinking it was so amazing because he's also from Saginaw, Michigan, just like Draymond. And he was like, he's the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers now, like praising it. saying how much he loved him, saying how much he knew him. So if any reason he'd maybe want to leave and go there, that's it right there. And of course, he's boys with Braun. Always has been, as everyone knows. And that was the ironic thing is like that video came out right after Braun and Mav Carter and Uninterrupted posted the shop episode with Draymond.
Yeah.
This came out. I wanted to mention this before the Draymond thing. Speaking of the Nets and Ben Simmons, how disgusting was that shot on the at the Brooklyn Park?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna pile on him for that. It's just like how many times have you like taken like a random shot and just like missed it by like 1,000 feet? Like
So funny.
it shouldn't be a story.
It was just funny though, you know. I mean, and I feel him when he's like, "Oh, everyone's airballing at the park." Like it was.
He's right.
He is, but it's just. I mean, man, all the eyes in the world are on him more than anyone. Like the
Yeah.
way he shot at the free throw line this preseason, turnovers. Like
Yeah.
we're still waiting for the proof. And I don't know if I maybe said it to you last pod. I don't think so. I watched his uh interview with JJ on Old Man in the Three and was awesome. As everyone knows, like if anyone's gonna open him up, it's them. Like they're close, him and JJ. Even that guy Tommy's friends with him. But he was, giving good answers, saying how he was mentally strong. But my immediate reaction was like, dude, listen to it. I need you to listen to it because you would agree. You're going to be like, are you delusional? Like, he didn't admit any of his wrongs. He didn't talk about, like, he just said how his back was given out.
Yeah.
He didn't say why he wanted out of Philly. Like, he talked about what they were doing wrong, but he didn't say why he wanted out, and he didn't admit any of his wrongs. Like, can you not be delusional and work on your free throws? And like,
Yeah, he was saying Doc Rivers has to take blame for this too, and I'm like, dude, you gave up on your team.
Does, but like, it's not his fault that you shot 34% from the line that no one will ever shoot again. And I get it, you're going through something mentally and physically, but speak on it.
Yeah.
Talk about
Tell
it.
someone rather than just show up and deal with it head on when no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, and like, I
Yeah.
couldn't not say that. I knew we didn't
Yeah.
talk about that.
So before we get into the power ranking, speaking of the Lakers, LeBron will probably break history this year. So I just love how points are undervalued, because LeBron's gonna do it. Now all of a sudden it's not an accomplishment if he breaks the record because Michael Jordan. But no, but yeah, I just wanted to say that LeBron will break it eventually. I just don't know when.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna pass what's his name in assists, but I think I saw a track record that if he plays every game, it could happen by like January. But no, man, I definitely think we lowballed them when we did our standings. Like they
The
could,
Lakers,
yeah. What do we? They were like my 9 seed. Maybe it was you that said me.
I have them ninth. But like,
I-
here, I'm gonna do this. Do you think they're better than the Nuggets?
No, but like I do think if all goes well and they can appear in more than 21 games, and if Russ and AD do their job, their biggest thing is Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis can be available and perform
Yeah.
like the MVP caliber candidate that everyone thinks he is, and still one of the best players in the league, then they'll be fine. And if Russ can have a vengeance tour and really just gel it, and they lost Dennis 3 to 4 weeks. He's always got a knick-knack, but Kendrick Nunn looked really good in the preseason as well. Like versatile, can move the ball, can bring up the ball, play point, and can shoot it. He's probably the best 3-point shooter besides Beverly on the team. I think
Okay, so
Beverly.
based on what we know, okay, so are they better than the Nuggets?
No,
Golden State,
no,
Dallas,
no,
Phoenix,
no,
Clippers,
no,
Grizzlies,
no,
New Orleans,
no.
Timberwolves,
I think they can be. So we'll say they could be what? 8?
Trailblazers, Kings, Rockets, and then like Thunder, Spurs, Jazz. I think we know they're better than them. Maybe Trailblazers are might be, but
They
that's my
play
point.
Sunday. Good matchup.
You can't I say he's top five. It's like there can only be five guys in the top five. Like I think these teams are convincingly better than the Lakers. Just
They
because
are,
of
but
what we know about them.
it's just yes, and the standard that was set, and every game was a blowout, and they have a new coach and a new looking, you know, roster around them. But it's like it's all about their availability. It's kind of like the Nets, except like obviously the Nets have a higher ceiling at this point. But it's like, or you could argue that, but it's just if they could do their job. Like tonight is a huge game for them.
Yeah,
Everyone, the two most talked about teams in
you
the
can't
league,
get blown out tonight.
and like, dude, the Draymond story, all the Russ talk, like this is a huge second half of the doubleheader after the defending East champs take on Philly. Have to fit that in
Yeah.
there.
Well, I will say though, like it's not like if they lose, they get blown out. There'll be overreactions, like because like it is only one game, but like you can't continue to have the same issues bleed into this year. Like one game might not make the world, but you get into 15, 20 games, it's the same problems.
Just
All of a
don't
sudden,
get
it just becomes who
yeah,
you are.
don't get blown out tonight. Like I
Yeah.
expect both games to really be nail biters. Like
Yeah.
there's no reason why they shouldn't. And not for nothing, dude. We'll get into this, like, or I'm gonna brace over them in the power ranking. Like I said it, I think I said it to you before we started recording. Before, like everyone thinks this is the year of Philly, so like I'm nervous. I mean, I don't think it's the year of Philly, but it could be. Like
Well,
we
the
love.
Eagles look good. The Phillies are still in.
I meant
I
the
don't.
Sixers, but yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Philadelphia sports are terrific
yeah.
right now.
Do you wanna get
Yeah,
into our power rankings?
yeah. You want to lead off?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do something so the viewers can see it. I'm gonna open this up because we're getting innovative here. There you go. All right. I'm just gonna type in all the things. All right, so we're gonna do Richie's power rankings. I know it doesn't look glamorous, but at least you guys can see it. So when we talk about it, it's easier. Okay.
Hey, it's a holiday, man.
Yes, sir. Okay,
We're
so do
two
you want me to go
hours and
10-1?
yes.
All right.
You can go 1 to 10. I mean, whatever you want.
Now I'll go 10. Why can't get away? Why is this here? There we go. All right. And 10. Okay, so at 10, I got Memphis. I'll just do MEM. At 9, I got Denver. At 8, I got Brooklyn. At 7, I got Philly. At 6, I got the Clip City, Chip City, whatever Wiley says. The Clippers. And then I got Phoenix at 5. Dallas at 4. Milwaukee at 3. Boston at 2. And the defending champion Warriors at 1. Okay. Do you want me to talk on my team first? My list first?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna make this bigger for all the people that have the font massive on their text messages. There we go. Nice. Look at that. Looks so nice, right? Um, I think to start off with Golden State champions preseason power rankings, they should be 1. They didn't lose much. They lost Gary Payton, but that's not going to sway me enough, obviously, to move them up 1. Boston,
Yeah.
despite everything that happened, they got better as a team, like not like take out coaching and all that stuff. And I think preseason power rankings, the 1 and 2, unless they lose a star player, should be the previous finals run. You agree with
Has
that?
been, yeah, it has been all summer, and I was telling you how we were the title favorite before the Ime stuff too.
Yep. And then 3, I got Milwaukee. I think, I think they'll be there like they always are. They got Giannis and Middleton's out, but they'll be fine. Drew Holiday's there.
Yeah, that is gonna hurt. I forgot. I did see that yesterday.
Yeah, but as long as you have Giannis, you'll have a shot. And then Dallas 4. You said someone had them 16th. That doesn't make sense to me at all. I know they lost Brunson, and that might hurt them more than they think. But at the same time, they still have Luka Doncic, who is arguably a top 5 player in the NBA. And
He is.
Phoenix is 5. I don't feel good about it. I think they got a lot going on, and not a lot like Jay Crowder might get traded. Did he get traded? No, right?
No, but I don't think they're gonna miss him much anyway. Cam
Like,
Johnson's gonna play a good
yeah, they
role.
got him. The whole Chris Paul's getting older. The owner, like, and I know I said that with Boston, but Phoenix didn't get better. Like the Boston added Brogdon. Six, I got the Clippers. I feel good about this pick, although I don't think John Wall should start. I think it should be Reggie Jackson because he's on my fantasy team.
Reggie is. Did you
He
see
is.
it?
Oh, he is good. Fantasy team.
They announced it like 2 nights ago.
Probably my seven Philly might be a little low, but at the same time, I think like what we saw from them is the what we know. I think Montrezl Harrell is a very good fit to back up Embiid compared to like years past with the centers they've had.
Yeah, like Dwight and DeAndre.
Oh, Aaron Judge gone. 4-0 Yankees now. The Judgian Blast, whatever they say. They're going nuts in the Bronx. The Yankees. Anyway, Brooklyn eighth. I don't trust them at all. I have Denver nine, even though I have them first in the standings. I just think when it comes to preseason power rankings, that's like they got boat raced by Golden State. And then I have Memphis 10 over Miami. I just think John Morant is better than any player on the Heat. And I don't know, like, the Heat, like, every year are going to be like a fringe top 10 team until they play, and then they'll be like a three seed for some reason. And I just like rosters, constructions wise, I think Memphis has got a slight edge over Miami. That's my 10. And what are your thoughts?
So if you want me to give the thoughts on yours, I like it. I mean, Denver's low and Philly's low, if anything.
Do you think anyone should be in it that's not? Like, do you think like
No,
Miami should be in it?
no, because I also debated. Um, I'll go 1 to 10, but I also debated the Heat instead of the Grizzlies. And also, let's remember, Jaren Jackson is out 4 to 6 months, or
Yeah.
was in the summer. I'll probably be back January himself. But I do think, like I said to you when we did our standings, that teams could leap Miami. But I do think Miami is out for vengeance. Like I think Jimmy and Bam are going to be terrific. Maybe Lowry's a little more in shape actually, and Hero finally just got paid. But
Yeah.
um, me too. I have the Warriors. It's really, I
You have Golden
was
State one?
huh?
You have Golden State one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Why is this doing this?
sure, we'll probably be a little more um what's the word I'm looking for? A little more provide a little more security for his starters and not, ramp up the minutes for the core that much when tonight there will be between probably like Wiggins and, your
Yeah.
bright spots, but not crazily. But yeah, they got DiVincenzo Fitz, like I
Yeah,
said
in
to you,
Milwaukee. You have Milwaukee too?
Boston.
Boston too. Okay.
DiVincenzo Fitz, obviously if it's gonna work anywhere, it's there, kind of like Wiggins. Not as good, but they lost Peyton, but like again, Draymond's all right. Their trust is only going to be growing back. Steph, obviously, you have him, and he just handles everything. And all we were seeing was articles that's like, oh, you're going to be, the unsung hero through this too, through this situation that we're going through, and the train's going to keep moving. But Wiseman, Green. So Golden State, Boston, us, yeah, the Ime thing. But I'll move past the coach. Like I said, if anyone loves Joe, I know the thing that sucked is obviously, if he did very, very wrong, he deserves it. But it's like that's the sad thing is as you saw last year through that whole finals run, like he looked like a great piece for what they're trying to build uh for our special team moving forward. Um so they're all on board with Joe. They love him. Like I said, they look amazing in preseason. All their players do, especially Brogdon. Makes the offense just really look so much simple. You'll see it later tonight. Uh, the thing as we were leaving, has training camp proceeded, and as we left August, or not August, September, um, that's the thing that bothered me the most was the Rob news.
Yeah.
Obviously, that about him, and that I think if anything hurts them, that's it right there, and the rebounding, and if anything that they showed in the preseason, that's it. That you know you'll miss Rob on the glass a bit, but I still give him a two. I think if anything hurts, it's Rob, but their security should be good. Excited for Blake, like I said, for the time he plays. Clips three. You can mix and match the starting point guard. I expect Norman Powell to be the starter too. He's been scorching. Morris. They're gonna run Zubac a lot with the second unit. It was tough. Obviously, Clips, Bucks, 3-4, but I everyone knows I love the Clips, so I'll keep them at three. Um, for Milwaukee, they Chris is gonna miss some time to tip the season off. We got another great doubleheader with featuring them on Thursday. I believe it's them. Forget what the second game is, but I know it's them and Philly. Oh, Lakers Clippers and them in Philly. Um, Bobby Portis will get see his play improve. Brooke Lopez is healthy. I think Pat Connaughton might be hurt. I'm pretty sure, but we've seen what Holiday is capable of. I think Giannis is hungry. Of course, Chris is whenever he comes back. At five, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, Obviously, like I just said to you, a lot of people think it's the year of them. They maximize Harden's comfort to the best of their abilities. Him and his best friend Daryl Morey says he lost that much weight. Harrell was with Doc in LA too, besides Houston with Harden. They got Daniel House from Houston. PJ Tucker is really going to be amazing for them. Really. They need a defense, and he is the leader that they need as well. Eric Spoelstra said it throughout their playoff run. Arguably the most unselfish player ever and a great voice to have. Melton is just like a tear it up guy in the playoffs. Like, he's just like gritty stuff like that. He's a good fit. But they're going to have an interesting roster. It's all up to James and how he performs. Obviously, Embiid could have another MVP year. Dallas, like you said, people think they're going to lose or they're going to be worse because of the Brunson thing, obviously. But me and you, some people probably think we may have them high, we may have them a little low. I mean, you have them really high, 4. I think that's perfect. I'm at 6. Dinwiddie starting or coming off the bench, I do think he should start at the 2 next to Doncic, but he could be like 60, 70% of Brunson. We saw that in Brooklyn. We saw that in the beginning of his Wizards run. He fills the sheet too. He shoots well. Just going to work as their secondary ball handler, assists. Tim Hardaway Jr. is coming back, good shooter. Their defensive guy is, basically Cleaves and Dorian Finney-Smith. They'll be nice. I don't think we've talked about this since we've last done the pod, how Wood's coming off the bench, which I think
We did. We talked about that.
We did? All right. McGee, you've heard me praise him with his experience with the championships. He's defensive-minded first, probably better than Wood. And obviously, regardless, Wood will lead the front court in minutes. And he probably will be the second option, if not Dinwiddie. I know they like Josh Hardy or Jalen Hardy, whatever his name is. I'm having a Garrett Wilson moment.
I don't know.
I know it's Josh Green. I think it's Jalen Hardy. But they're gonna be nice. They bulked up, like I said to you. I think Dinwiddie or Wood will be the number 2 option for this team. I think Dinwiddie will really surprise and be good for them, like we saw as game winners last year, and we saw how high they are on him and how fit he is. He really should start at the 2, but Bullock, him from the next 3-and-D. Nuggets, arguably everyone's biggest sleeper this year. Bruce Brown, nice activity for them. Great player next to Jokic with his cutting. Bones Highland, KCP, who they've been so high on years, also amazing fit next to Jokic, his 3-and-D ability, and he could also cut to the rim. Also Champion, who's won. He's their starting 2. We've talked about this before. Um, but just overall, getting Murray and Porter back is the biggest key, of course, as you know. Um, Bones Highland has been nice this preseason. They could be even higher than 7. I have Brooklyn at 8. So everyone knows just all the availability. Ben Simmons, please just be out there, even if you're not playing great. Kyrie as well. You've been saying for about 2 months now how you're never going to stop playing and how you're acting like the best teammate ever. And it's just, like we said, he looked more sane than KD. I just wrote a huge story on him. Everybody go check it out. Fucking had to curse there. Really is fucking amazing. um, for the human relation that I brought into it with the whole vaccine, uh, stuff like that, and his mindset and Katie's mindset. But yeah, huge story I did on him. If they could just do their job, everyone knows about their potential. Um, they really got no rim protection besides Claxton. Dayron Sharp still has to prove himself. Some preseason clips I've seen Simmons get bodied by bigs.
Update you real quick. There was just a triangle pop up for the Yankees. They didn't catch it, but they collided, and not Josh Donaldson, Oswaldo Cabrera and Aaron Hicks just banged knees. Ow, that did not look fun to watch.
Hmm.
All right, go on. Sorry, I was giving my play by play update.
Hopefully they're all right. Hopefully we get a tribe comeback.
Yeah, I don't want to be hurt though, but it was
Yeah,
painful.
yeah, let's get some runs on the board, Cleveland. But yeah, it's just they really have no rim protection besides Claxton. He could have a good year, still improving, still growing. Dayron Sharp as well. Markieff Morris is off the bench. He could play some 5 or front court big minutes. Good shooter for Ben. Great shooters for Ben. Seth, Joe, Harris when he's back. TJ Warren, Royce O'Neal. So yeah, everyone knows how great they could be once they get it together. Phoenix is 9 for me. Yeah, like you said, everything they got going on. Chris is obviously going to be amazing. So is Devin. I bet DeAndre's play, at least on the court, will be special. Um, I don't think he's going to have like an all-star year or nothing or anything crazy, but he will be really good. And like I said, Crowder is a great vet for every team he's been on. But with Cam Johnson's starting play and his numbers like 16, 17 a game and shooting percentages as a starter, he's only improving too. He's only 26. So 9 is Phoenix for me. 10, I have Memphis as well. I don't want to put Miami because I think like I said, teams like Cleveland, teams that are fighting, have a chance to be
I even
better.
have Cleveland in the top 10, but I guess maybe that's because of its preseason power rankings. You know what? Screw it.
Um,
Memphis, you're gone. Cleveland 10.
all right. I mean, I like the opinion.
I like Memphis too, but I'm high on Cleveland. I gotta be high on them everywhere.
Yes, sir. That's
Yeah,
my top 10.
should I try 08? No, I was I'm gonna try and make this pretty, but who cares? All right, guys. If you guys want to take a picture of this and send it to your friends to make fun of us, go ahead. This will also be on our Instagram and TikTok. I'll put our conversation on this on there, and then but this is our top tens. The reason why I just changed out Cleveland for Memphis or Memphis for Cleveland is because I'm just very high on the way their team is built. Like I think Donovan Mitchell was a perfect fit for them because he's a premier scorer, something they didn't really have. Because like Evan Mobley's a rim protector, even though he can score. Jared Allen's a rim protector. Garland's a playmaker. Levert is a bench guy, I think, for them. So like they
Yeah.
needed that last piece. So I think that was a really good spot for them. But I think he's coming out of the game, Aaron Hicks.
Someone really to just relieve Garland and someone else that can have the ball in their hands in
Yeah.
closing time.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments what you feel about this. I think that's it though. I think that's it for the last preseason pod. So
Really, our first one, last off-season pod.
so what do you call it? My big news. I didn't sign with anyone. Like we're not even remotely close to that type of podcast yet. But for my personal self, I know Rob might have something in the future too. but I'll hold him to that for himself. I am going to be starting a baseball show once a week, 30 to 40 minutes just by myself, just talking ball. I don't know when I'm going to start it. I'm contemplating either right before the World Series or start of off season. Let me know what you guys think I should do. I think, I personally think off season would be good because it's a clean slate, but at the same time was better than the World Series. So let me know. I'll write it in the comments too. This clip will also be on TikTok. I'll we're trying to make some moves here, trying to do some great things. But yeah, that was my big news. And buy a whiteboard.
Yeah, that was fun. We had a couple weeks off. You were obviously working a lot, doing
Also,
clips.
give me a name for the podcast for the show. I don't know what to name it. It's going to be available on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, everything, same thing, and also YouTube. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna use my personal account for that. Uh, and let me know if you want me to make YouTube videos as well. I might do a bunch of things. I'm really trying to get into it. I really enjoy doing it. I'm trying to think of ideas. It's basically what's holding me up right now.
Yeah, man. 2 more hours.
Yep, and the Guardiac kids, as people call them, have the bases loaded, one out, and Jose Ramirez is up, probably their best player. And it
Yes.
sucks that this guy that got on second was because of Aaron Hicks, but that looked very painful. That his knee went like in.
Yeah.
I don't like the Yankees, but I don't that just I don't like pain, and I feel bad for guys that get hurt.
You still got to watch the Hayward video. I can't believe you haven't
No,
seen it.
no, nope. I'd rather drink a
You have
bottle
to
of
see
bleach.
it. Like it's just crazy. You have
No,
to see.
that no. How do you have? I'm binge watching. Do you know the show Chicago Fire?
Yeah, my dad watches it.
I'm binge watching it right now. When I see blood, I like basically throw up in my mouth. I like turn away, like the bone sticking out. I'm like, ah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's just the way it's going in direction, really, and the noise you hear. That's it.
That's what makes it worse, though, is when you
My thing
hear
is
that
like
it's like makes you cringe.
if I could watch it, if I could watch it like 20 times, like you could watch it.
I'm good on that. I'm good. I'm not. Uh,
And
all right. So
I'm not trying to sound weird and be like, ah, like
no, you're not
it was
alone there.
like nuts, but my thing was like I just like think back to the moment and just put myself in the mindset when I couldn't believe the moment it happened.
Yeah.
Freshman year at OCC in my room.
Do you do you have any ideas for names for my show coming up? I can't. I don't want to be the Richie Dortis show. So like I'm trying to think of something clever.
I would have to think of it,
Oh
but
my
we
God! I
can.
thought you just hit a grand slam. He pulled a foul. I thought he just hit a grand.
Uh, Imagine
Yeah, 2-2 count. It was a big hit. This is a big like big moment in this game. Let's see.
what inning is it?
The third. So 2-2 count, one out, bases loaded. Nestor comes to his set. He kicks, he deals, and
We need the pitch clock, man. These postseason games, it'll be like 2 hours in, and it's the fourth or third.
the sack fly. All right, so now it's first and third, two
By the
out.
way,
Well,
to the audience,
what the? We got a sock viewing. That is not what I had on
it's
my
that
bingo card
time of
today.
year.
You there?
Not that I ever,
Okay.
not that I ever took off, not that I ever took off the socks, but yeah, it is that time of year.
All right. I think that's a good place where we can end this. Enjoy basketball tonight. Enjoy baseball. Enjoy football. Enjoy hockey. All sports are in right now, but tonight specifically is basketball time. This will literally, I think, come out at 9 o'clock ish. So like the Celtics game might be over by then, but it'll be out for tomorrow. So you know what? Enjoy, guys. I hope you guys really enjoy this episode, and we will see you guys next week. I appreciate all your love and support. So does Rob, I know, and see you guys next
Yes,
week.
yes, sir. I'll
All
text
right.
you, pal.
See you later.
Yep.